Coach V Show, your show for personal and professional development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. Offering for your consideration success frameworks and behavioral models so that you can really become, do, and achieve what you want in life, leadership, and business. Where iron sharpens iron, together we rise, powered by Island City Media Group, Island City, where the beach meets the streets. Today, I am really excited to have my toko, my brother, Josiah Alipate, featured here on the Coach V Show, where he was overweight, insecure, depressed, had zero purpose, and made just enough cheddar to make it day to day. After years of living a mediocre life, he made a decision to change everything. He said enough is enough, lost 150 pounds, got debt free, found his purpose, and now owns a bustling 7-figure coaching business out of the Scottsdale, Arizona. His mission is to impact the maximum amount of lives that he possibly can and leave a legacy behind that empowers, I love the word empower, others to go all in on their goals and dreams. Island City family, the Coach V Show family, welcome to the show. Your boy, Josiah Alipate, who is a COPE certified health coach, and you can connect with him at alipateelitecoaching.com. Brother Alipate, thank you for coming on the Coach V Show.
Man, after that intro, I'm hyped right now.
When is it that Alipate is not hype, right? I mean, you are hype in your faith, you're hype about family, you're hype about helping people develop, advance, appreciating them, encourage themselves. I love your vibe, reached out to you, and we've been connected for a handful of months now, and then was going, you know what, we ain't waiting till the studio opens. We got to get this guy featured today. Welcome to the show. Please start and let us know your Genesis point and your Genesis story. And as my parents are going to go, can you make sure he tells us who his parents are and where he is from? So please enlighten us and let us know what that is. Your Genesis point, please, Brother Josiah.
Absolutely, man. My name is Josiah Alipate. I'm 36 years old. I live here in Scottsdale, Arizona. My Genesis point, I am from, I was born and raised in Northern California. I am Tongan American. My parents, Vika and Isaleli Tuanaki. My father's from Mo'unga One. So shout out to that squad. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here today, you know, to be able to kind of talk about the Genesis point from where I was raised, you know, growing up in a Tongan household, you know, learning all of the different habits of life, of love, of food, of eating. Like let's get real. If you've ever been in a Tongan household or any Polynesian household, you know we don't know how to eat regular sized meals. It's straight up feast every single day, right? And so I'm learning these things as I was a kid, growing up. You know, a love for food, a love for family. And the cool thing too was, you know, I was super active, playing a lot of different sports. And if you are an athlete, or if you've ever been an athlete, you know, I grew up eating whatever I wanted to because I would always burn it off on the field, right? That's how it was when I was younger. But it got to a point where I had injured my knee playing, and I gained a whole bunch of weight. At my heaviest, I was 358 pounds. I was working in the nightclub industry in Las Vegas for many years. And so it kind of paid to be the bigger guy during that time in life. But it reached a certain point where I was like, you know, I'm making good money, okay money here, but it was leaving my hands just as quickly as I got it. And so I recognized there was something, there's got to be more to this life than being in debt. there's got to be more to this life than being overweight. And as I started to see my friends, my family members suffer from medical conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart conditions, and all of these different things, man, I was terrified. I was terrified that I would be that person. And,
Mm.
and so, I made a decision to completely change my entire life around. I was sick of being in the rut. I was sick of struggling. I was sick of waking up and seeing my bank account at zero.
Mm.
There was a point in my life where I was so broke. I used to go into grocery stores and steal groceries to put food on the table.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It got that bad. And so I had to look in the mirror, and I hated the man that I saw in the mirror. Physically,
Mm.
in my character, I mean, I was doing things that was completely out of integrity, right? And I started to think to myself, there's got to be more to this life than this. And so, and I made a decision that I was going to change everything around. And through the help of my sister, Rosie, she has a cool story of her own. She was 250 pounds. She lost 100 pounds and she started competing in bodybuilding competitions. So
Wow.
obviously she was somebody that I knew and I love. And so we together, we designed out a plan that was going to get me to where I wanted to be. And I lost 150 pounds and I decided, hey, if I did this, if I could do this, I could help other people do this as well. And
Right.
so I decided I was going to help others. And over the course of the last 3.5 years, have been able to assist about 2,000 clients from across the nation to be
Wow.
able to achieve their health goals. And so it's amazing to think that at one point, I was severely overweight, had nothing to my name. And now being able to take the successes that I've been able to accomplish in my own life and give that away to others.
Amazing. So I often talk, teach, and train. So in personal development, it is one of the most used adages right now is this action of flow state. And I just heard that recently and then studying, I'm like, okay, I get that. But I've always taught, coached, and spoke on how daily habits, daily activities, daily routines, automated tasks create a flow. That flow creates momentum, and then that momentum lifts you to the next level. So you got injured, you gained all this weight, but then for in my own weight loss from November 1st to today, I'm still down 30 pounds. So I was 248 pounds. I'm at 218, 219 consistently. So 18 years since I've last been that weight, Josiah.
Wow.
But I often talk, teach, and train about 21 days to create a habit, but 42 days creates a lifestyle. I stopped eating dessert, stopped drinking soda, and I had about one meal and a snack a day. And so 18 years could not stop that, right? So for you, you did 150. Holy smokes, right? And now I'm looking at 218 and going, man, I only want to be 225. Maybe I should go for 215, right? And then so talk through us about that mental challenge. I mean, one freaking pound is tough, let alone 150. Talk about the daily habits and the approach, the lifestyle change that I hear about from your industry often. How did you manifest that from your genesis point to gaining that weight? Now you're the bouncer to now look at you. You look amazing, Josiah. What's that? What's that about? How does that happen?
It's crazy. It is a process. And the first piece is being willing to look in the mirror.
I like that.
You've got to be willing to look at the mirror and face up to where you are currently at, your current reality. A lot of people get scared when they start a health journey to step on that scale, right? Because they don't want to see what that scale says. When people are on a financial journey, they're afraid to take a look at what that bank account balance looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk.
So the thing is you've got to be willing to first look in the mirror at your current reality. Okay. Then you gotta be so clear that your current reality does not dictate where your future can be, right?
Say that again for the listeners. Your current reality. Say
Your,
that. I love that.
your current reality does not dictate where your future can be. It doesn't control you. It doesn't dictate your future. And so that's where a lot of people go, where they start to dictate their future based off of their past, not knowing that habits can start moment by moment, every single moment of the day. And so, when I started my health journey, when I really got serious, I started to flush out old habits that I forgot that were just controlling me. Like my third day when I made my commitment, I literally was on fire. I was on point. My nutrition was on point. My water was on point. And wouldn't you know it, I fell into the habit. I legit like blacked out and found myself in a Burger King drive-through. And I was like, how did I even end up here? And it was just out of habit, because every day coming home from work, I would pull over to a fast food restaurant.
Right.
And that habit, it just happened like that. But here's the thing. You can rewire, you can reframe your entire life. Just because if you can get into that, if I could have gotten into the habit of going to a fast food restaurant day in and day out, I can just as easily get into the habit of doing something else, right? This is what I love about people with people talk about, I have an addictive personality. Sometimes people have addictive personalities that lead them to wrong things, right? Whether it be drugs or alcohol or whatever that may be. Now, if you have an addictive personality that could take you in that direction, you easily can turn the tides the opposite direction and completely change your life. But it all starts really with being willing to look in the mirror on that first piece. That's really what got me going, is looking in the mirror, my current reality.
Man, that's awesome. I love that. Your current reality, right? Your future, it does not affect what your future is. It's your choices and your decisions that determine destiny, right? And so I always talk about and teach, talk and train about, right? Transformation is inward metamorphosis and change with outward performance and results, meaning decisions and choices and the consequences that come with. You're talking about, you can easily turn. I call that the U-turn, right? Hey, when you recognize and become aware you're heading the wrong way, it's okay to turn around, ask for directions. And so many people are just scared to start over, right? Because I was 248 pounds, and then I got into it real quick and dropped 5 pounds, right? And then after that, I was 248.2 pounds after that first weekend. You know what I mean? So then it's just like, man, I got to start back over. I got to talk about the transformation inside out, in terms of, okay, you're looking at the mirror. I'm good with who I am. I get it. I'm going to be real, right? I took a picture of myself and it looked like I had a 20-pound head on October 31st. And I was like, November 1st, tomorrow, I'm about that change, because this don't look right. Right? Especially for guys that you and me who are on video and pictures and all that, we just can't be going around like that.
Yep.
So talk about that inward transformation with outward performance and results. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, that's great. Intrinsic motivation is really huge when it comes to a person's journey in life. So many people are looking for external forms of motivation, whether it be a podcast. You might be watching this thinking that this is the extrinsic motivation that's going to keep you going, but extrinsic motivation only gets you so far. It actually doesn't last but just a couple of minutes. You're actually going to turn this off when you're done listening to this. You're going to probably completely forget everything that was said, unless, of course, there is an intrinsic motivation. And intrinsic motivation comes from a complete awakening of what's possible for your life. Right. And for me, it wasn't until I was completely awakened that there was so much more possible for me, that life didn't have to be me being broke. Life didn't have to be me being 358 pounds. Life didn't have to be me being insecure or unconfident. Right? Like the guy that you see before you today, that's not me 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. In fact, I was the dude who used to be in parties and sitting on the wall, not talking to anybody, right? But now there's been an awakening inside of me that I can't help but to give away to people, right? And now this is where we turn into, we talking about purpose. We talking about living life at a bigger level. You see, when you get to the heart of things, when you take a look at the heart of things, when people say I'm trying to lose weight, it's not just connected to losing weight, right? There's some even underlying beneath that. You got to find out what that is. You got to go layers deep. You got to peel back the onion. You got to see, what is that for you? For me, I was tired of being the dude who was just so self-conscious that I was the guy who would wear a shirt to jump into the pool. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to get in touch with, like, I'm not trying to be that dude. Okay, now if I'm not trying to be that guy, who am I trying to be? Who am I trying to transform into? So when I start to be able to create this person, this Josiah of the future, right? That's my target. And every single day that I've been able to build a vision for my life that is compelling enough that when I wake up in the morning, there is not a single doubt in my mind that when my feet hit the floor, I'm walking in purpose, right? I'm walking in intrinsic motivation. And that intrinsic motivation is bigger than a piece of pizza that somebody's going to offer me. It's bigger than the short-term satisfaction that I get from wanting to overspend on something that I don't need, right? So it creates this atmosphere of discipline, of commitment, because your target, your eyes are fixed on a future that is much bigger than where you're at right now. So it really starts with that. I mean, intrinsic motivation is so big, and I also believe this too. I believe that when we transform our insides, our outsides, our physical body is simply a reflection and result of our inner workings of how we see ourselves. Now that might be hard for y'all to hear if you've been going through it, right? You've been going through, you might be in an unhealthy state. But if you really take a look at it, when I was 358 pounds, I was depressed. I was inconsistent in my life. I was out of integrity in a lot of different areas, and me being overweight bled into a whole bunch of other things. So when we transform internally and find that intrinsic motivation, find a target in the future of the person that we're looking to become, and have a vision for our lives that is so compelling that it draws us out of bed in the morning. Yeah, I mean, I would say you are on the right track at that point.
That's right. And you feel it and you see it manifest with the outcomes and experiences. So inward transformation and change that manifests now in the outward performance and results, decisions and choices. And then now you feel the joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, and love, and you prioritize the things that matter because now our lives become in alignment with our faith, our physical bodies. Congruence are two words. So talk about that, how now your life is all heading towards a direction, and this dieting or this exercise or the purpose that you're living isn't what you do. Like, this is how you live. Right, Josiah?
Yeah.
What comes to mind when I say that? Am I anywhere in the ballpark in how you approach your 2,000 clients since 2018, 2017? And that means, every 3 years, I mean, you're gonna, in 12 years, in a decade, you're gonna hit freaking how many people? 10,000 people in 10 years. I mean, if you keep going this way, right? What does that feel like? And when I say congruence and alignment, this is how you live. This isn't a diet. We hear the word lifestyle. So for those people, even kind of like myself, help me get this all in order. Is that in alignment, or does that match with your approach into achieving 150 pounds and then also helping 2,000 people reach their goals?
Absolutely. Absolutely aligned. And really what comes to mind is, the word human being, right? The word be, we're not human doings, right? So many people get caught up in do. Now, that absolutely has its place, but it starts with who you are being, right? So many people think once I get the money, I'm going to be
Right,
happy.
right,
Once I
right,
get the relationship, I'm going to be fulfilled. Once I lose this weight, I'm going to be whatever it may be, right?
right.
But what you have full control over right here in the now is who you are being in this present moment.
Mm,
So I didn't know what 150 pounds lighter Josiah would be like. I had
right,
no idea. But I made a commitment to be him when I started my journey, right? Because if I'm walking in my future self, if I'm being that person on a day-to-day basis, let's say this. So when I was flat broke, right? And I wanted to change my life around and I wanted to put some intention into my finances. I started to think to myself, okay, someday I want to be a millionaire,
right,
right?
right.
And that came into my that when that came into my consciousness, I had to get clear on what are the things that millionaires do.
Do. Yeah,
What are the
right.
what are the characteristics of those things, right? Who are they being, right? Does the millionaire Josiah of the future, is he going to go off spending a whole bunch of crazy money like just like crazy that he doesn't have? Probably not, right? Is he going to go out and party on the weekends while everybody's partying? Like, nah, I'm actually going to stay disciplined to my goals, right? And so I started to get clear on what's the future me like, and then I be that person right here, right now, every single day. Now, don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
the journey ain't perfect, right?
Mm,
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there weren't speed bumps and roadblocks in the way. You know, I can't sit here and tell you that 150 pounds dropped overnight, because what I was constantly battling was the old Josiah of the past that wanted to creep in and tell me that I couldn't do it and that I wasn't worthy of it or I couldn't have it, right? But I made a decision that I would contend on the daily, even on the days where it wasn't perfect, even on the days where I fell short. I would wake up and I would still have the commitment for the future.
that is awesome. So let's connect back to your past a little bit so that our viewers, because we got a lot of Bay Area viewers. So before you ended up in one of the highest society level classes of Scottsdale, 'cause I love Scottsdale. My wife loves Scottsdale, but we know it ain't cheap in Scottsdale. And it's cheaper than some of the places in California in terms of living, but there's some high rollers out there. We just came back from Lahaina area. We were around the Ritz in Maui. We roll around Squaw. We stay there a lot. So these are some higher level places. But I am never unapologetic, or I never try to hide the fact or I'm unapologetic that I grew up on free lunch. I'm from Pomona. You know what I mean? I grew up poor and without. I get all that. But like you're saying, our past and our present doesn't dictate the future. So let's connect back and let's connect our audience with you. That because when they say, wait a minute, this dude's a seven-figure coach, he's leveled up, lost 150 pounds, helping thousands of people in his business do what they want to do. I can't be like that. But then when we go, bro, I grew up in Pomona, was on free and reduced lunch, right? Instead of trying to act like we are something, and I'm not apologizing for your success or mine, because we all earn our success. It comes with a lot of speed bumps. But where did you go to elementary school? Where did you go to junior high, high school? Was there any college? Because everybody's talking about education and how you need a formal degree. Now I got one and it helped change my life. Not because of the degree I got, but the experiences that I had on those football teams that helped me become a champion and everything else. So let's connect back to Northern California. Where did you grow up and how was that for you growing up? that led to this so we can connect the dots, please, Josiah.
That's so great. That's so great. And I love talking about this because I don't regret my past not one bit.
Mm.
I'm so grateful for it. You know, I grew up in Vallejo, California. Went to
Shout out Vallejo.
Shout out to the 707, all y'all out there,
707.
man. And I grew up, and it was at one point the murder capital of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what had us feel good about our city.
Yeah, right.
We weren't known for the best of things, but we were known, right?
Yeah, that mentality, right? Back then, right?
That's how it was.
Yeah.
At least somebody knew us, even though it wasn't for the best of things. And I grew up just around gangs. I grew up around just in the hood.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so that's the thing that I tell people too. Don't get it twisted, because I still got the hood. The hood's still in me. I grew up in the hood. It ain't going nowhere, you know?
And you talking. Yeah.
But what I'm so grateful for is because I've been able to experience all of the areas of the spectrum, from lack and not having very much, to being able to have much and steward a lot more. And so, but I'm so grateful for it because the hardships, the challenges, grew up in a space where I didn't know that there was much more for me, honestly. I had no idea, you know, and at some point in my life, I just kind of stopped dreaming. I stopped, when you ask kids, oh, what do you want to be? Well, I want to be an astronaut and I want to do some amazing things, right? I lost that at some point because I thought my life was just going to be mediocre, keeping the status quo. And I would look around me and everyone else was living mediocre. So that's all I knew.
Right.
And so but I'm so grateful for all of that because that the past that I came from, cutting school, doing all the dirt, all of those things, like that led me to a place of that's what drives me to this day. That's what drives me to continue to go forward. And now that I'm at the place where I'm at now, my intentions are to go even further than where I'm at right now.
Right.
But also my intention is to look back at the people who may be in the same position that I was in, and I have enough confidence in myself to know that if I could do this, they can too. And that's really what I want to show people.
Right.
It's that if I could turn my life around, they can too.
Right. So shout out Vallejo. What elementary school?
Glen Cove Elementary School.
Glen Cove, shout out. What junior high?
Franklin Junior High School.
Franklin Junior High, shout out. What high school?
Went to Hogan High School.
Hogan High School. Man, that's awesome. And so in that, I mean, you said a word that I love, right? Because I grew up Tongan in our culture, respect elders and all that. And I really felt like they really owned me. I was theirs. I'm not even me. Whose kid are you, right? And not in any negative way. And I didn't never had any negative experiences that way. I think it was all good, but it's just different. Versus me and my kids today is just going, I don't owe you. I don't own you. You're someone else's. I mean, the man upstairs put us together. I am but a steward. And I'll coach people that are CEOs, COOs, or district managers or high-level people. And they go, Coach, I wrote about you in my speech. And I'm like, nah, take me out of that. I'm just the steward. I'm the person that asked you to consider. This is what works for your consideration. But the credit goes to you. that's very different than ego. Your thoughts on that, Josiah? Do you feel that's about the same in terms of who you coach, teach, and train, and how you approach life, leadership, and business? That you're just the steward, and the credit goes to the people, but yet there is also a place that without the steward or a coach. And really, the definition for me as a coach is to help someone to achieve something that they could not do without that coach, or a team could not maximize their full potential without that coach. Your thoughts, Josiah?
Yeah, that's great. You know, when it comes to coaching others, uh, I I coach from the perspective of I want to be able to lead you in such a way that that God forbid if anything were to happen to me, your goals and your dreams and all of the things that you attempt to achieve in your life will still be completed
Mm,
because I can't do it for you. And this is
mm,
where that intrinsic motivation comes in as well, right?
mm,
because it is I'm just a steward. And if people, you know, and I'm not in it for the accolades or the acknowledgement or any of that. Really, if you're going to get into any form of coaching or business or leadership roles, you got to be willing to wash feet. You know what I mean? You got to
mm.
be willing. This is servant leadership at its finest, and stewardship is such a powerful word that many people who are
They
leaders
miss.
they miss.
Yes, sir.
You
I
know, they
agree.
miss. They get a little something, or they go a little they go a few places, and all of a sudden you thought that you made it, and it's now all about you, right? But if you want to make, I'm talking about if you want to change the world, right? Whether it be the world around you, or the world of people who are around you, or the finances or health or whatever it may be in your business and your leadership and your coaching, man, you got to start making it about the people. How
That's
can I serve? How can I steward? And absolutely empowering people to say, you did the work. I was just a guide, you know. And if we can get to that place, man, momentum moves. And you had mentioned the word momentum earlier, and this is what I love. This is what I love about momentum. When that train gets rolling, that
yeah.
momentum, there gets to be a point where you can't even stop that momentum from
Yeah,
moving.
that's right. No, that's excellent. I love that. And in that, your momentum, did you feel like, I mean, this is what people usually ask me, because I am also unapologetic and not egotistically about my anointing, because I can talk and I can stand in front of an audience and talk. But it's really the things that people don't see behind the scenes in what I do for my foundation. They see the vacations, they see me in front of hundreds of people or 1,000 people. They see me getting these big checks from corporate companies. They're like, bro, I know what they pay their speakers. Yeah, but it just is. This is just how I live. Whether I'm serving with my foundation 130 kids at one of our free basketball camps, or 16 kids at a snowboard ski camp, this is just how what I do. I'm also unapologetic about the grace in my life. And I see that you are too. At least now, we've never met, but because of social media, I see everything you do. You know what I mean? And I follow you. You know, there's 10 to 12 people that I follow every morning. I just kind of wake up and kind of see what they're doing. And like, you just live a certain way. And that is so attractive. I mean, people are like, man, thanks for letting me come on the Coach V show. Man, I'm not giving you anything. You earned this spot, right? You got value. So, really, in this stewardship, where is it that you feel like you're going next? Because I feel like you feel like I've gotten some stuff going. I really have. but I feel like there's so much more in terms of my scale, processes, protocols, procedures to really take my business and impact to the next level. But at the same time, the more I serve, the more I give, the more I buy products from people in my network, the more that vibe of that care, love, affection that really brings people together. Along with, like, did you go to school for this? Where did you learn this? Is just it's a blessing? Because that's what I feel like. I never took any formal education, and that's really what I'm getting to. Is did you get any formal education? Who taught you these things? You know, I know that you're a certified coach, health coach. But did you get any formal education? Did you go to university, college, junior college? Talk about that.
Yeah, that's great. I am a college dropout, and I grew up in a family that told me that to be successful, you had to go to school, get good grades, go to college, and graduate college with a degree and get a
Right?
good paying job, and that would signify that you were successful. Now, if I did anything other than that, I would be deemed as unsuccessful.
Right.
And what happened in my life was I was a bouncer in the nightclub industry. And then not only a bouncer in the nightclub industry, I was also working in construction, doing asphalt, building roads, shoveling asphalt in 120-degree heat in Las Vegas.
Right.
And so this, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking to myself, I'm nowhere even near being where I should be or where I could be. And so uh, then I considered myself like a failure because of I thought that I had failed this vision that was put upon me by my parents. Right now, I'm not saying that not going to school or going to school is a bad thing, or graduating
Yeah,
from
right,
college. That's
right.
amazing. That's amazing. Like, if that's for you. But I also, on the other end, if you don't go, that's amazing too. There's an opportunity wherever you choose to go, right? But I also had to start to reframe how I looked at failure,
Mm,
right? I had to reframe how I looked at failure. And I started to think to myself, when I was a kid, I had a friend who was a plumber. He was an Italian plumber. His name was Mario, and he had a brother named Luigi.
right. Like
Super
Mario
Mario
Brothers.
Brothers, right? Like, I
Yeah,
would
right.
play the Nintendo, and I would play it over and over for hours and hours, right? But I would fail at that game, right? I'd fall into a pit. I'd get hit with some fire, or some dude with the shell would come and throw a hammer at me, right? And I'd
Right.
die. That would fail the level. But what would I do? I would continue to play the game, right? For hours. My parents would have to pull me off of that thing. And at that point, my goal was to rescue Princess Peach, right, from Bowser. That was my objective. And I would stay up for days, hours, weeks to play and beat these levels, failure after failure after failure, but each failure giving me insight into what not to do next time, right? Now, what I'm getting to is, why did we lose that as adults? Why did we frame failure as the end of the story? Why did we frame failure as game over, when instead we could pick the controls back up every single day, learning from our past failures, because our goal is so big, right? When I was a kid, it was rescue Princess Peach. For now, you might be an adult watching this, and it might be getting financially free. It might be losing 150 pounds. It might be losing 20 pounds. It might be repairing your relationships, right? Why did we stop? Why did we put the controls of our life down when failure came and we said that it was game over? Nah, right? You have an opportunity every single moment to pick up the sticks and get back on the game of life and play at a level that you are going to get to your goals. So, that's kind of where my mind just went right now.
No, that's good. And so I do get asked that a lot. Like, Coach V, I mean, for the most positive, I mean, you're one of the most positive people I know, but you always talk about struggle and failure. And I said, because that's really the road to success. Two things. I feel that life is struggle, struggle is life, misery is optional. And the people that have that mindset know that this is only a piece of the pie. And this is just one of the ways in which I'm going to learn. And it's in that failure because there's only success breeds success. But life struggle and failure are the faculties of life that could teach us like no success can. I also say it this way because of my struggles and my failure, I have increased my capacity to speak less and listen more. I have increased my capacity to give more, even more than I even have. I have increased my capacity to know that I can run even faster. My jogs have went from a 13:30 mile, and I used to post it, and my son was like, "You posted that? That's so slow." And I was like, "That's slow, right?" Because of that's the only way to increase our internal capacity to believe and know that if that struggle can't stop me, this struggle won't either. And I'm not trying to discount the struggle or failure that anybody's going through, or the loss of a loved one, or facing a detrimental cancer or some kind of disease. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that success and regular success, big time success, because failure occurs, and that'll increase our capacity, our awareness to know, do more, and try more, then success is possible too. Right? But it is a success is a failing sport. You got to fail to learn. And which is the irony is because failing in itself still doesn't teach us what to do. It only teaches us what not to do. But it's in what not doing and cutting out the bull crap that brings no value, in prioritizing our time and not doing the stuff that doesn't matter, but then also doing the things over and over that bring us success. So I love that. So when I say that the struggle growing up the way we did, it really increased our capacity for more compassion. And we do have a flip switch, a lot of us. And then for me, only in my 40s, but in my 30s, man, somebody cut me off in Cali, man, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. But at being 45 now, right? Yeah, whatever. I realize now my capacity now that's not important, right? And I don't need to give them a piece of my mind. I don't need to put hands on anybody. I could just figure this thing out and not do that and still roll. Increasing your capacity through failure and struggle. What are your thoughts on that, Josiah?
Yeah, that's great. The failures and the struggles are necessary. And I
Yeah.
think so many people try to avoid it rather than embrace it. It is part of life. And
Mm,
the sooner we begin to embrace that it's gonna happen, it's bound to happen, at least we're prepared mentally to know that at some point it's gonna be there. Now I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. I'm not saying by any means. It's never easy to deal with loss. It's never easy to deal with challenges. It's never easy. Uh, it gets easier
right.
when you deal with it many times. But when you are prepared mentally to know I'm walking into a battlefield, and I will, and there will be some losing days on this battle, on this journey. Then I can make a conscious, an aware and conscious choice of where do I want to go from here. And I this is something that I tell my clients and I practice often for myself too. Not ignoring the emotion or anything that comes with circumstance and challenges and failure in life, but I take a look at where I'm at right now and I say these words. Okay, so what? Now what?
Now what?
That's it. Okay, like I'm in the mirror and I look in the mirror and I'm 358 pounds. Okay, so what? Now what?
Right.
Right? Because your goals don't care about your emotions. Your goals don't care about where you're at
Yes.
right now. Your future self don't care. In fact, your future self is beckoning you to get up off your tail and go do something about it.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
So whatever circumstance and failure and challenge, I've always got to go back to, okay, this is where I'm at right now. So what? Now what am I going to do about it? What is the next best step that I'm going to take? Or
Yeah.
will I seclude myself and drop the controller of life and say that is game over? Right?
That's right. Yeah, because reaction is human response, fight or flight, right? And reaction and struggle and failure, that happens to all of us. But the difference between championship level folks, the successful, the unsuccessful, and the fulfilled, and those that live in regret, is how they respond to what happens to them. Right? Josiah, your final thoughts and we'll move forward.
Yeah, that's big. You know, Muhammad Ali on February 10th, 1962, Muhammad Ali was knocked down for the very first time by Sonny Banks.
Yep.
And he said these words. He said, when the referee was counting to 8, 1, 2, 3, he said he sat up and he looked around and he said, the canvas is no place for a champion.
That's
and so
right.
He got up in that moment, he brushed himself off. He said, this fight is not over. And in the 4th round, he won by TKO. Right.
That's right.
And so the failures didn't stop him. Right. In fact, he got back up and it developed him into a better fighter. And so that can be done for us on a day-to-day basis. In fact, I look for fires to jump into. I look for failures. If you ain't growing, you're not failing enough. Right.
That's right.
If you feel like you ain't moving, you ain't jumping into things to fail on.
Oh man. You're talking some real talk, because really, right? Really, that's what now negatively affects what's called the performance anxiety curve. When you're scared or fearful, your performance decreases. And really, that's about outcomes. So most people look at the outcome and then they figure out if they're going to be all in or not, right? And that's the reason, and one of the only reasons why I am successful, right? People are like, man, you've never been a head coach in football. You're never going to translate into being a keynote speaker nationally. Now they hire me quarterly to coach their companies. You right? It just is what I get, the fact that the numbers don't look like it, right? And so that's what causes so much anxiety and fear and inaction is, okay, how's this going to work out? It don't look too well. So then their performance decreases, their activity, their daily activities towards that progress. Right, Josiah? Am I wrong or right?
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. And in fact, as you're talking about that, I'm reminded of the story of the Spanish conquistador who led his troops to shore, and they were heading into a battle that they could not win.
Yes.
Could not win. And instead of retreating, they burned the boats. They burned the ship, and that gave them no option to retreat. So instead of running from it, they went and faced it, and they won. And we can also do that same thing. Burn the boats. Stop giving yourself the outs or the excuses, right? Yes, you can give yourself some grace when you fall back or you have a few setbacks here and there, but burn the boats, burn it so that you don't go back. And that's something that I did. You know, I looked at my old self and I said, I am not going back to that dude. Now, it wasn't perfect, but I burned the boats. I decided that no longer would he ever exist ever again. Now, I will be grateful for the experiences that I've had along the way, because those fuel me as I go. But I'm not retreating back to what I once was.
Right. And that's the reason why most people won't even start. And the only reason why you and I are here as Tongans who grew up in America, having people pay us a large amount of money, which isn't even about the money, but it is because it's business all at the same time. But we weren't scared to look like we didn't know what we were doing. We weren't scared to fail. We weren't scared to say, yeah, well, I have 3 clients currently. How many clients you got? I got 3 clients currently. I wasn't scared in 2011 when people told me that, well, can you send your resume of who you've spoken to? They were all like Rotary clubs, all free engagements. But then they looked at my video and gave me a shot because I wasn't scared that they were going to say no. Can you touch on that before we move forward?
Yeah, that's huge. You got to take risks. You got to
Yeah.
take a risk. Sometimes you got to step into it before it even happens. My very first business was a bodyguarding agency in Las Vegas, and here's how I got that position. I met with the head of security from Warner Brothers, and he saw me as I was a bouncer at a bar in downtown Las Vegas. We got to get to know each other, and he said, "Hey man, so what is it that you do?" Now, I lied to him and I told him that I owned a security business, which
Right.
I tried to fit in, but I was like, "Hey, I own a security business." I was walking in and he said, "Wow, that's amazing. We're actually looking for a security business that we need on set for the filming of The Hangover 3 in a couple of months." And
Wow.
so he says, "Are you licensed and insured and all of
Yep.
those?"
Yep.
Said,
I'm licensed.
I said, "Absolutely. I got all that stuff." He said,
And then go figure it out.
he said, "Let me get your phone number and we're going to, and I need you to have 25 guys on deck." Now I was working in the nightclub industry at that time, and I figured, okay, I got 25 of my boys ready to go. Right.
Right.
And so once he left, I'm freaking out. I get the money together. I go get licensed. I go get insured. He calls me back 2 weeks later, and it wasn't 25 guys he needed. He needed 75 guys. So I'm freaking out. I'm telling guys, "Yo, you gotta go. Like when you're up against it, but you gotta show up for the life that you desire. You do some crazy things." I'm like asking my friends to go get their aunts, their uncles, everybody to come work for this gig, and I'll tell you, it was because I took a leap, right? I risked it. I put myself out there. Sometimes you gotta step into it before you gotta step into it in your mind before you see it in front of your eyes.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Because really, in school, we take the lesson, right? And then we take the tests. But in life, leadership, business, you want to make a 6-figure, 7-figure business in the United States of America, right? You take the test first, and that test teaches you the lesson. Last comments on that, Josiah. Real talk, right?
You build the plane as you're flying it.
That's real talk.
You do.
So Josiah, what's your message to the world? What is it that you'd like to tell the world? So thank you so much for everybody for tuning in here on the Coach V Show, powered by Island City. This is going to be broadcast off of Dash Radio platform out of Hollywood, California. We're on YouTube, so please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be on a podcast on Spotify as well, and broadcasting on a Monday night coming up, and that's going to be on Facebook Live. So for all those audiences and platforms where Dash Radio is really what people are going to be hearing, what is your message to the world, Josiah? What are some shout outs, and what are some things that you want to get off your chest to help inspire and give people success frameworks and behavioral models that'll help them lose weight, become their very best, be financially secure, and be their best self? What is that?
Yeah, the big thing that I want to just share is that all of those things play together, whether it be your finances, your faith, your health, your relationships, all of those things hinge together, right? And I believe that when someone's financial, physical, emotional, spiritual health is firing off on all cylinders, they then have a platform to be able to create the life that they want for themselves. The issue is most people have one or more of those areas completely out of whack. And so my goal is to be able to help people build a life that is compelling enough that it pulls them out of bed and that they go for it 100%, that they say, "I'm all in on my life," and that I refuse to go back to what I once was so that I can create the life that I desire for my future.
Yep. And how can people get a hold of you? What are your social media handles? Are you on LinkedIn? I know you're on IG and on Facebook. Are you on LinkedIn? And how can people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So you can check me out on IG, on TikTok, if I got any TikTokers who are out there, at The Real Coach Josiah. You can reach me also on my website at alipateelitecoaching.com. And then also Facebook, Josiah T. Alipate. I'm not on LinkedIn. I've not dived into that. But those are the places where you could find me.
And What about some shout outs? And then how does your faith? So shout outs, and how does faith play into what it is that you do every day, brother? Because I have a feeling and a notion through everything it is that I see, but from you and from your mouth to all the listeners, how important is faith? What is that faith? And then your shout outs, please, Josiah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to shout out to my mom, obviously, and my entire family. They are rocks for me. My all of my siblings and all of my nieces and nephews, they are rocks that keep me centered on why I do what I do every single day. And when it comes to faith, the biggest piece of faith and why it's so important to me is because what you had mentioned earlier, the grace that has been bestowed upon me, the very breath of life that goes through my lungs gives me purpose. And the reason why I do what I do is not for the material things, because at the end of the day, those things will rust. Those things will wither away. All things are vanity of vanities. And I give all of my praise and all of my worship and all of the things that I do is for an eternal purpose. And so many people might see the result of what I have right now and today. And yes, I do enjoy myself and I enjoy the life that I do have. But everything that I do is for the intention of an eternal purpose. And that's why my faith is just so important to me.
That's awesome, Josiah. So thank you everyone again for tuning in to here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron. Together we rise. On this segment, we're going to put Coach Alipate on the hot seat. I am just going to say a few phrases, as much time that we have for, and then Josiah is going to tell us what is on the top of mind. Let's start with a little scripture, brother. Let's start with, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table for me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When I say that, Josiah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are that piece of, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, though I walk through this world that's constantly pulling for my attention and pulling me away from my purpose, though I walk through day to day during the failures and the down points and circumstances of my life, I will fear no evil. And the last piece of that, surely goodness and mercy, of course, goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life. It is always a comforting thing to know that surely goodness and mercy will follow me, even in the face of adversity.
Yeah, and I love that. And the next comment I would like from you is on grace. Despite the past of both of us, our sins, our transgressions, and the intentional choices it is that we made, knowing it was wrong, but we did it anyway, that I am grateful for God's unmerited and undeserved favor of God's amazing grace. Your thoughts?
Immediately when you talk about that, I ask myself the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I to deserve a life like this? I'm just a dude who was who was embarrassed to share of his past, because if you really knew, you probably wouldn't want to surround yourself around a guy like me. But because of God's unmerited grace and favor upon my life, I've been able to find new purpose and to turn that around into being a beacon of hope for those who have been in my shoes.
Amen and amen. Now let's talk change and transformation. I share this often with my clients, Josiah. For things to change, you must change. If you don't change, nothing changes. But if you change and do change, everything changes, because you are the mother freaking key. Your thoughts?
I love that. I love that. It all starts with your own personal transformation. It
Mm,
all starts from you. Your entire life transforms when you do. And though, yes, a caterpillar goes into its cocoon, but at some point it reveals itself to the world as a butterfly. And
mm,
this is where transformation is not a private occurrence. There are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, yes, in the cocoon, but true transformation is lived out before
I
people.
love that. Oh, I love that. I love that. Now let's talk relationships. Here's a Coach V quote. There's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships. What's your thoughts on relationships, Brother Josiah?
Absolutely. And that's what I love, what I was talking about, the material things they fade.
Yeah.
The material things they fade. You see people who have tons of money but are unhappy and have terrible relationships. But you could take a look at someone with no money at all and no material things around them, but have the greatest relationships around them. People are everything, and our relationships and the way that we view and live with and treat other people is key. And the only reason why I'm here with you right now is because we've been able to build a relationship over the last couple of months, and it's all about the people.
Mm, I love that. I love that. And you've heard me say it already on this show. And this is the final Coach V hot seat question for Brother Josiah. Coach Alipate, is life is struggle, struggle is life. Misery is optional. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you are not stuck. You choose to be stuck. Nobody, you chose to believe what people told you, but you can also just as easily shift it around. You are not stuck. The life that you have right now is the life that you choose.
That is awesome. Thank you, brother, for coming on the show, sharing. Please connect with Josiah Alipate. You can find him at alipateelitecoaching.com. You can also find him at the real Josiah, Coach Josiah, on IG and on Facebook and on TikTok. Correct? Did I
That's
say that
right.
correctly?
That's right.
Yep. So please reach out to him. If any of you have any issues getting a hold of him, please, you can email me and my staff. Javon and I can help you connect with a brother at any time. So thank you so much, Josiah, for coming on the show. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in, because it's just not enough in this life to just achieve success, but also that we work to be our best. In doing so, we realize the best of our abilities and that anything and everything that we dream and work for can be achieved. This is how this success coach, keynote speaker, author, and Hollywood radio show host rolls, all about faith and family. Grateful for God's amazing grace. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and catch us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and Facebook. And if you need anything, holler at your boy. From your boy, Coach Alipate, and your boy, Coach V. Until next time, we will see you on the next Motivation Monday, powered by Island City, right here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron. Together, we rise. Peace.